Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today's video I'm going to continue discussing discovery writing or intuitive writing or however you want to call it. Before we talked about sort of like my journey into discovering it, then I talked a little bit about the philosophy behind it, some of the ideas that have to come with it. And one of the big ones from last week's video was, or from the last video, was trusting your intuition. Trusting yourself, trust the process, trust your abilities to tell a story, trust your creative mind and your subconscious mind to come up with new and interesting ideas that your conscious mind could never tease out on its own. And so today what I want to do is talk about like how to build that, because a lot of times when we talk about creativity, intuition, these sort of things, a lot of people kind of get the feeling that like you either have it or you don't. Are you either born that way or you're not? And that's not really true. I think some people are naturally a little more inclined to be a little more intuitive thinkers, maybe a little more inclined to being creative. But that doesn't mean it's impossible for someone else to look at, to learn. I always like to use art as an example. I have a friend of mine who's she actually did the painting that you see over that shoulder. And she's an amazing artist. She's also a therapist. And her doodles, her just kind of goofing around or something, is the sort of thing that I would like aspire. If I could just draw as good as she does when she doesn't give a crap, I would be so happy right there. When she's actually trying, it's truly amazing. And from talking with her, I get the impression that she's always been artistic. She's always been a drawer, a painter, that sort of thing. I believe that's what she got her bachelor's degree in, her undergraduate degree. And then she had to go to grad school to be a therapist. But I'm not. You know, my drawings always have sucked. I still, if you get me to try and draw something, it still looks like a third grader drew it. Because my drawing skills haven't improved that much since the third grade. I do believe, though, because I have taken some classes, that I do believe that if I were to take classes, if I was to practice, if I was to really try, I could be a pretty moderate artist at least. I probably wouldn't be the best artist in the world. Probably couldn't go pro, but I could certainly be a lot better than what I am right now if I just sort of tried. Even though artistic talent is something that someone's kind of born with, art is still a skill that you can learn. And same thing with creativity in general and intuition in general, is these are things that probably some people are just naturally better at, but it is still a skill. There are still some ways that you can practice and hone this sort of skill. And so that's what I want to talk about today, is things that you can actually do to sort of help yourself along this intuitive style of writing. One of the first things you should do is get used to mindfulness meditation. Start practicing that. I have a couple other videos on mindfulness meditation, what it's about and how to do it and that sort of thing. The reason why I think mindfulness meditation helps you as a writer, helps you with this intuitive thing, is it helps you get, it's basically like going to the gym for your brain. It's like training your mind to where you have more idea of what you're thinking, or that you're thinking at all, what you're thinking, and then doing something with that. It's sort of like just reducing the noise level in your own head of all the thoughts. Because see, remember when I talked about this sort of discovery writing, this intuitive writing, kind of using my example of when I wrote my first Yark the Scholar story, Desert Nightshade, I would just ask myself, where is he? And listen for the response. Why is he there? Listen for the response. What's he doing? And I'm just writing the answers as they sort of come up. Not really trying to judge them, not really trying to hold on to them or figure them out or to decide if it's a good idea or a bad idea. Just kind of write the idea and just sort of let it go. And to be able to hear the response when you ask yourself these questions, you have to keep the rest of the noise level down inside your head. If your mind is constantly going on something that happened last week or something that might happen next week, or all these ideas that you have to work on, these projects you got to do or whatever, if your mind is going in all those other directions, then when you ask it, what's this character doing right now? It might give you a response, but you probably won't hear it. It'll be just sort of lost in all the din. It's like trying to have a deep, meaningful conversation in a nightclub at 2 a.m. You can do it. It's just really hard, and you're probably not going to be able to hear each other. So through mindfulness meditation, you start to discipline your own mind to where you kind of focus it better. You can start getting a better grip on your emotions. At least you don't want the emotions from the outside world getting into the writing process. You want to be in the emotions of the writing process. So if your character's angry, then it's okay to feel yourself get angry. But if you're angry about something that happened over the weekend, that's just going to get in the way of whatever it is you're writing. So first thing to do, practice mindfulness meditation. You basically want to practice it about 10 to 20 minutes a day every day. 20 minutes a day is like the therapeutic dosage, but 10 minutes is like the bare minimum because that's what you need to do to make changes in your brain. But kind of look at the video on mindfulness meditation. That will help you along that way. The other part of this is practice using your intuition in lots of different ways. So one way to do that is to use sort of like neutral objects that will elicit a response that isn't really necessarily preconceived. So one example that I do is, or I use, is using tarot cards. I've been reading tarot cards off and on since I was 20. I don't know. Certainly since college. I don't think I got into it until then. And what tarot cards are is just images of things. And you lay them out in a particular pattern. You have a question in head, and you're looking at those images and trying to discern what they mean. My style of using tarot cards is very unorthodox. I can't really teach it to anybody because if you look at a tarot card book, if you look at someone who's trying to teach you, they will show you, this is the High Priestess. This is what the High Priestess means. There you go. The High Priestess? Is that one? No, the Empress. Sorry, that's what I was thinking. The Empress. This is what the Empress means. There's the Hierophant. But what I do is I just sort of look at the picture and in relation to what the other cards are and what order they are in relation to the question, and then just pay attention to what comes up for me. When I start reading tarot cards, it sounds a little extreme to say, but I kind of just zone out and just start talking. It's almost like channeling what the answers are. I just let the answers flow. So one way to use tarot cards as a way to practice your intuition is just get a deck of tarot cards, shuffle them up, and just sort of ask yourself almost anything. What is the character? Give me a character to work on. Flip a card and see what comes up, and then just ask yourself a series of questions based upon the images you see, but not so much the images that you see, but the answers that are coming up. It's like, what is this character doing? Now, sometimes you'll get a very superficial answer because that's what the picture is showing. So this character is holding a heavy load of sticks. Okay, why is he doing that? Well, there's nothing on the card that shows why is he doing that. Where is he doing that? How does he feel about doing that? And just let the first answers that come up just be the right answer, because that's a big part of the sort of intuitive style of writing is let the first answer be the right answer, because this is how your intuition works. Is it just sort of jumps ahead and it knows the right answer, even though you don't really know how that is the right answer. And of course, right answer, you air quotes around this notion of right answer, because when you're writing, it's your creative process. So the right answer is the answer that you put down, that you want. This is your story, so you tell it the way that you want. So you could say this guy is carrying a heavy load of sticks, and the reason why he's doing it is because he's a prisoner and this in a labor camp. Oh, okay, he's a prisoner. Is he there rightfully or wrongfully? Who has him prisoner? Where is this? Is this in a Soviet gulag, or is this some sort of, fantasy realm? You see, the answers to these just start to just go, and the answers provide more questions, which provide more answers, provide more questions, and before you know it, you've got a whole story. All you gotta do is just keep your fingers going at the same time. So tarot cards can be good for that one. Another one that I like to use sometimes is, I've actually even used this in counseling. Let me see if you can see this. It's called story cubes. There you go. These are little cubes, not so little, but they're about that big. And each one has an image. Oh, that one has a lightning bolt. Let's see. One has a little alien, looks like. Yeah. This one is a cane. I don't know if you can see that one. I don't know if that's going to show up. But anyway, there are nine cubes, and each cube has 6 sides, and each side has a different image. So that's 9 times 6. That's 54 different images. And I forget, they say, I think they even have it on the box here, over 10 million combinations and infinite stories. Yeah. So if you roll these dice, you'll have to roll 10 million times before you get, the same images to come up at the same time. And then you can actually leave out cubes. So what you kind of like to do is roll all 9 dice, roll them together, and then using the images that come up, just start trying to tell a story based upon that. You can even use less dice if you want to make it easier, or you just don't need that much. These can be a great way to come up with story ideas if you feel stuck, but also it's just a good way to just sort of practice that intuition, because you roll the dice and then you just sort of see which image grabs you, and then start telling a story based on that, and start telling a story based on that, and the next one, and the next one. And before you know it, just like with the tarot cards, you've got a whole new story going on the path. And this is all ways of writing without outline. Because in this case, you don't even know what images are going to come up, so much less what you're actually going to be telling with those. And if you had the exact same images come up again, you're going to be a different person the next time you look at them. And so that will be a different story. There'll be different answers that will come up along the way. And so these ways of practicing is just a good way. And that's the other big part of building intuition, is just practice. Dean Wesley Smith always talks about writers hate the word practice. I don't know, maybe I haven't talked to enough writers. I haven't really discovered that, but there is this notion that the only reason why you should be writing is to do something with it. And I think, just like my artist friend who would just sit there and doodle and play with things and just fill up a page with just images that maybe she's going to do something with later or maybe not, that's what artists do. Musicians, they sit and they practice their instrument, they tune their instrument, they just kind of doodle along and see what comes up. Writers, we need to do that same sort of thing. I think another way to practice this is get a book of those writing prompts, and then just kind of open a page up and then write something based upon it. It doesn't have to be much. I think that's the other thing that a lot of people get the feeling on, is that if I'm going to practice, I have to write a whole story. I don't have time to write a whole story. I don't want to write a whole story. There's nothing wrong with just writing a scene, an opening, an ending, a dialogue or something, just to kind of get used to that flow of letting the words come out on the page without really overthinking it, without planning it, letting yourself just practice listening to that little voice when you ask it a question, that little intuitive voice that will tell you where the story kind of needs to go, where the story wants to go. I think that's a better way to put it. So that's the big ones. Is 1, mindfulness meditation. 2, maybe use some tarot cards to kind of practice with. The story cubes or something like that. And then just practice writing using writing prompts as well. And again, just letting yourself get used to just having the words come out on the page and not really feeling like you have to do anything with them. It's okay to just sort of, do that. I'm taking the workshop on writing into the dark with Dean Wesley Smith right now, and that's what we do is we get a writing prompt, and he gives us the title of a story or maybe a situation, and we're supposed to write like about 400 to 800 word opening to something. And one of those I liked enough that it became an actual story. It became another Yarrick the Scholar story. I think another one that I wrote, I'm probably just going to throw out. I don't know. It was kind of fun to write, but I just don't really care to finish it. I can't really tell you why. I think because I have other things that I want to write. And then there was another one that was kind of interesting. We'll see if I do anything with it. But I'm okay with that. I spent about an hour writing these because I'm not going to invest a lot of time because I'm not sitting and second guessing and agonizing and all of that. I'm just letting the words flow. So I can get 800 words written in an hour or less and then do something with it, not do something with it. It's okay. I don't really have to. But anyway, you have any other questions? Any other ways you know of practicing intuition, of getting better at this? Do you ever write just to write with no idea of where it's going to go and not really plan to do anything with it? Put all that stuff in the comments. If you have other ideas for things you'd like to hear about on discovery writing, put that in the comments too. And I'll try and get to those as well. Future videos will be talking a little bit more about the actual writing process and how it works, what I think is necessary to be a sort of intuitive discovery writer sort of thing. But anyway, I will talk to you later. Bye.